Good afternoon to all. You have selected a wonderful topic. Youth is shaping tomorrow, or youth shaping our future. I would also like to raise a question. Who is shaping our youth? And that's a question I would like to raise, and we shall discuss the nuances. It was Benjamin Disraeli, the former Prime Minister of United Kingdom, who once said, "Youth is a blunder, manhood a struggle, and old age a regret." I was thinking, if we can add one word to it, that will change the meaning, that will change the flavor of the entire thing. If we can add one word, just one word to the entire thing, the meaning changes like this. If youth is a blunder, then manhood becomes a struggle and old age becomes a regret. And why do all the TEDx speeches or TED speeches happen? They are basically to inspire you, enlighten you out of the blunders we have all made in our past, we have all made in our youth, and to point out the better ways of doing things, the better ways of connecting with people. And I believe it is to spark conversations, intelligent conversation, to have better connections, to have a good community feeling. And I would like to start by asking this question. Now, who is exactly the youth? Even though we have very young leaders in politics who are above 50 or above 60, they are usually called youth. What is the ideal age for youth in India? We all suppose you belong to the youth category. Generally, it is said, UN and UNESCO usually says, the youth is, from their own definition, from the age of 15 to 24. We have Indian youth policy which says it is 15 to 29. The African Youth Charter in continents like Africa, they say it's from 15 to 35. There are various state governments in India which stipulates it as 15 to 39. There are various policies. So youth is an age where people are looking forward to experiment, experience, create new things, innovate. And these are the new paradigms that we are opening up for youth. And I would like to bring about or point out the biggest paradigm shift that happened in youth in the past 300 or 350 years. Let me point out an example. If you have ever studied in an Indian school, you will always hear one advice from teachers. We all know our teachers with great respect. I'm a teacher too. Our teachers in a 1 hour session or a 45-minute session will teach for 30 minutes and will share advices for 15 minutes. Gyan, or they will mentor. Or there are some teachers who will teach for 15 minutes and advise for 45 minutes. It's because it's out of the care and concern for you. So when I was studying in school, this was a one-line advice that I used to hear. All your teachers used to hear when we were studying in the school. And the line goes like this. Dear students, you have all been given the same abilities by God. It is how you use it that really makes the difference. It's how you use it that really changes your life. I'm sure you have all heard a similar advice. But post-2000, this advice began to change. This insight began to change, and it became like this. Dear students, you have all been given different abilities by God. How you identify and develop it, that really matters, or that is the way ahead. If you understand these two simple English lines, it is similar to reading two different libraries altogether. Not two different books, but two different libraries altogether. If you understand these two lines in all complexity, in all its depth, it is understanding the greatest debate in the history of philosophy in the past 350 years. If you understand these two lines, you understand the difference between past and the future that is going to come. Nearly 350 years ago, in the past, say, 300 years, the Indian education system in one way, the US education system, the UK education system were following a person called Dr. John Locke. John Locke was a great philosopher from the West. And John Locke used to believe, and this was the founding paradigm that we followed for many years altogether. John Locke used to believe that when we are born like this white paper. In teaching parlance, it's called tabula rasa, or blank slate argument, or white paper argument. For nearly 300 years, we believed we were born like this white paper, and three things create you: your education, your experience, your environment. This was the ruling philosophy for almost 300 years. Now let me ask you a question. If you were all taken at the time of your birth, and you were given same food, same care, same mentoring, same school, same everything. Will you be the same by the age of 18? You are all having same experience, same food, same parenting, same school, same uniform, same movies, same literature. Everything is the same. Will you be the same by the age of age 18? No. Why? Because you are inherently different. You are innately different. You are born unique and different. And from this tabula rasa philosophy or the white paper philosophy, we have moved into a different philosophical paradigm altogether. This particular white paper argument has gone into something like this. From we are not born like white papers, rather we are born like these QR codes. We are born unique, different, special, and unless you understand that uniqueness, you won't be able to have success in life, decode the mysteries of life, have a fulfilling life. So this paradigm shift has really been exemplified in our former president, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. When he goes to schools and colleges, he makes the students stand up and tell, I am unique and I will discover my uniqueness. This idea of uniqueness, maybe you have heard the word unique in very many sessions. This uniqueness, philosophically, scientifically, has redefined our aspects and ideas towards life. Now let me ask you a question. How unique are you? Let's see. What is the population of India? 140 crores. We have surpassed China according to most statistics. The population of the world, entire world, 7.5, some says 8 billion. 8 billion people. What might be the total number of Homo sapiens in the past 2 lakh years? The total historical demographics, or the total number of people who lived in this earth, who was born in this earth for the past 2 lakh years. Many historians and many demographers say, in the past 2 lakh years, nearly there were 110 billion human beings that were part of this Homo sapiens. And not even one share your same fingerprint, not even one share your same retina, your fingerprints. And something more fascinating is, how many of you are familiar with one of the most unique aspects of your being called a gait? Many of you might have seen the Mission Impossible movie, Tom Cruise Rogue Nation, where modern technologies say one of the most defining features of you is gait or your walking pattern, and that's totally unique. That means if there are 800 crore people in the world, you have 800 crore walking patterns in the world. So everything that God or nature, if you are a believer, you can call it God. If you are more of a scientific person, you can call it nature. Name doesn't matter. Whatever you call it, nature or God has created you so unique, so special, that the most important aspects of modern education, life discovery, taking it forward in life, belongs to the area of self-discovery and exploration. And when I use the word self-knowledge or self-discovery or understanding oneself, it is not a spiritual quest, neither a religious pursuit, nor a philosophical inquiry, or nor something connected to intellectual enterprise. It's more like everyday living, your relationships. You have that uniqueness, the way you speak, the way you connect to people, the way you grow, the way you learn. Everything regarding you has an element of uniqueness, and unless you discover that, you will not be able to make meaningful connection. You will not be able to identify yourself and put yourself in a career. These are the aspects that you have to understand, and psychometrics is one such aspect that will help you to understand your own uniqueness. You might be familiar with the word biometrics. Biometric identification means you are identifying yourself through your physical features. Similarly, psychometrics is measuring, identification, development of your psychological traits, of your inner, more less observable aspects of your being, where you are able to develop that inner psychological aspects. And psychometrics is a fascinating area of modern science. Indian Army uses it. Companies around the world, especially corporate companies, use their own kind of mapping and measurement techniques. All the major players in the world are using psychometrics so that they'll be able to identify the person called you and the person. Now coming to the Indian growth story too, which is the youngest nation in the world. I mean, we would like to say it is India. Yes, India is one of the youngest nations, but technically speaking, Africa is much more younger than us. The African median age is 19, Indian median age being 28, Japan being the oldest or the highest in median with 48. US being 38.1 or 30, around 38, and Europe being 44. So the Indian youth right now is well poised on a global stage to create impact in the most meaningful way. When we were in your school, when we were in the school, teachers will identify, we used to have an implicit message that population was a liability. Population was something bad. And all the elocutions and essays in our school time used to start with something like poverty and unemployment in India, how to tackle it. Pre-70s, if you see movies, Hindi movies or Indian movies, you can see the pronounced theme of unemployment. The able, the angry young man, the Amitabh Bachchan's not getting job and they are rebelling against the system. So that was the major idea where we used to believe that people are liability. But right now we understand demographic dividend is one of our biggest strengths. People, human resource is our biggest strength, provided a well-trained, well-educated human resource that will be useful for the family, community, society, and in our nation and the world. So education, shaping youth has become the most important priority of our governments worldwide, and understanding our youth. And in the next 25 years, your objective should be focusing on your individual, social, cultural, economical, and being a part of the global Indian growth story. And I would say this is the right time, perhaps this is the best time for youth. Youth means in that younger ages to emerge, find a career, be entrepreneurs, have that passion, explore life in the all multifaceted way and take it forward. And nearly 20 years back, this was me 20 years back, I wrote my first book by the age of 19. So if I have a time machine and if I can go back to that age, there are some mistakes I would like to address to myself. Since I cannot have a time machine and go back in time, I thought I'll share it with you so that you don't make these mistakes. You don't make these fallbacks, or you don't have these shortcomings. And some of the things, even though I could write a book by the age of 19, I had very important thing. One of the wrongest, if I can use that word, one of the most faultiest decision ever happened on a fateful day in my life when one of those all-knowing uncles came to my house. You all have that kind of an uncle, chacha, or family relative, I'm sure. He came to my life. I was after +2. We were confused regarding what to do. He came, sat for hardly 5 minutes, talked to my mother. My father passed away earlier, so I had very less people to look up to. This uncle coming in a very strong tone, like Amrish Puri kind of person coming and tell, you are good for economics. Why don't you study economics? I had hardly any interest in economics. But my mom said, see, uncle ne bola. So, your uncle has told. So you should definitely select economics. And looking back, that was the most wrong decision in my life, because I went to something I didn't have any taste for, aptitude for, I didn't have any flair for. Then I had good marks. Then I later went to London School of Economics. I studied global leadership. But the point is, many of you might have seen me on TV debating or in shouting matches or something like a discussions. I should have learned law. I should have been in education or some other field or philosophy. I realized almost 20 years later, and right now I completed my law course from Kerala's Law Academy. That wrong decision I took really changed the trajectory of my life in a big way. So having the right career option is very important for your life. Understanding your aptitude, understanding who you are, what is suited for you. And please, let's be very honest. Everybody cannot be everything. It's a fashionable thing to say that you can be anything in life. Yes, in one sense it is true. But beyond that, see, I cannot be a musician because I am virtually a tone-deaf person. I don't understand the difference of pitch. I like cricket, but I don't think I am cut out for becoming a cricketer. It's very fanciful and motivating thing to say that you can be anybody in the world, but in reality, we all know, our experience tells us that, no, you are cut out for something, you are destined for something, or you are predisposed, you are more aligned, or you have more abilities to do something, and you have to identify that in a proper way. And identification becomes very important. Then second, spend more time. One of the happiest things in life is relationships. Spend more time with your family, friends. When I was of that age, I used to roam around a lot. I used to go for all the things so that I can understand the world. Looking back, I believe I should have spent more time with family, more time with friends, because looking back, they give more meaning and more fulfillment to life. And the third, I had a very bad sleeping pattern and very bad food intakes. Please remember, sleep is one of the most sacred and important things you do in your entire life. Sleep is almost a superpower and sleep is almost a divine thing. You have to focus on your food, you have to focus on your sleep, and you have to focus on your health, because in the longer run, they really matter in a more meaningful way. And fourth, please remember, measuring is the core of management. Unless you measure something, unless you measure life, unless you measure your activities, unless you measure your skills, it is very tough to manage and improve those things. There are many immeasurable things in life. There is no debate regarding that. But most of the things in life, unless you measure it in a meaningful way, you won't be able to improve that in much more things. And these are the 5 principles I would like the shapers of tomorrow youth to remember. 1 is the Harvard Grant Study. Perhaps the best study, the most detailed study, the most comprehensive study on human life, which asks the very important question, what makes you healthy and happy? And in short, it's a beautiful TED speech you should all listen to. But in short, there are 3 things that makes your life more healthy and happy. The first thing is relationships. The second thing is relationship. The third thing is relationships. Happy relationship heal your brain. You know, it's not like the old poets saying regarding great things regarding love. They were all true. But this is empirical scientific study which points out happy and healthy relationship improve your life. They heal your brain in a very important way. And 21st century skills, as you all know, creativity is important. We have some great speakers regarding that. Critical thinking, communication, which he had session, collaboration and cyber skills. These 5 skills are going to be crucial in the coming years in a very big way. Then this is a very important question you should remember. We are all looking for motivation. That's very true. Which is more important, motivation or discipline? Please remember, always it is discipline. Because motivation is a matter of heart. It will go down, it will come up. But more important is discipline, and motivation should definitely be there. Equally important is discipline. And unless you have both, a balance of both, you will never be able to summit to those great peaks. Only when you have that balance of discipline and motivation, it goes. And this is one important concept, especially being youth, you should read. If there is one book you can read, apart from the textbooks you have or apart from the holy books of all the faiths, if there is one book you have to read in an entire lifetime, I would suggest that book should be Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus by Dr. John Gray. It's called the Relationship Bible. Please remember, these male and female makes the world, and unless you understand the difference between the male brain and female brain, the male and the female differences, you won't be able to understand the genders and have meaningful relationship. This is not to say that male and female should be discriminated. Absolutely no. Male and female are equal and different. Male and female are equal and different. They are not similar, they are not same, but there is diversity. And unless you understand that diversity, you will never be able to have meaningful relationships. So if you are planning to have relationships, if you are planning to have all these kind of meaningful, even friendships or relationship, this book is a must read. And a need of spirituality. You can call it, some people don't like the word spirituality, then call it existential intelligence. There is no difference. So you need to have that spiritual orientation, a deeper philosophical meaning and orientation. Unless you won't be able to crack. That's the reason. And I would like to come to the last part to remind you of these things. It was beautifully articulated by Franklin D. Roosevelt, who rightly said, we cannot always build the future for our youth, but we can build youth for the future. We are not sure what all technologies are going to come. 3 years back, nobody could even think of such a thing like ChatGPT. Now the entire thing. Earlier we used to proudly say that content is the king. Bring content, bring all the other things. Now with ChatGPT, content is easily available and it will become more and more refined. So things are changing in a fast and a rapid way that we cannot even imagine. So we cannot always build the future for our youth, but we can always build the youth for the future, preparing youth. And always remember this, the future is not something we enter. It's not like the Marvel movies where you enter the future through a time hole. Future is not something we enter, future is something we create. And I would like to remind you by saying your tomorrow starts today. The whole idea of tomorrow It starts today, and unless you prepare for it, unless you are ready for it, you won't be able to crack it. Tomorrow will never come, because whenever tomorrow comes, it comes as today. So your tomorrow starts today. Be ready with what you have. Be the shapers of your life. Be the shapers of your career. Be the shapers and bring good fortune to your family, community, society, our nation and the world. Be great global Indian citizens who will define future by creating it today itself. All the best for today so that you can create a bright future tomorrow. Thank you. God bless.